Daphne was a household name in Malta. She was almost as well known as the people she wrote about. She'd broken huge stories about political corruption in Malta. And ultimately, she paid with her life. It was the 16th of October, 2017. Daphne had just left her house in her car. She was a few minutes down the road when a bomb that had been planted underneath the driver's seat exploded. This is a story about murder. And obviously it's a story about a fight for justice by Daphne's family. They were taking on not just a political party and its leader, not just a prime minister, but the institutions of Malta, which they said had failed.
It reminds me how much my mother's writing meant to so many people. Even now, 3 years later, they're still fighting for her. That really says something about the kind of person she was. It just shows you how important the work is of people who fight injustice. And in the end, it's people who are doing that for her. But they wouldn't have done it if she hadn't fought that fight herself.
There's this one character who's really at the centre of everything that's happened.
We had heard that Europol were getting very frustrated, that they had already identified a prime suspect, Jürgen Fenech. They had done this because they had identified a middleman. His name was Melvin Thoma.
He's a bookmaker and a taxi driver. He got to know Jürgen Fenech 20 odd years ago. He loved horses and found a real community and a family at the Malta Racing Club.
I just wanted to go into the street and spray paint his name on a wall. I wanted the world to know that he was the middleman, to just push the police into action.
On the 14th of November 2019, Melvin's arrested. When the police pick him up, he's clutching this ice cream box. And he's saying, I want to talk about Daphne. I want to talk about the murder. And what he will give police is the contents of his ice cream box. And inside are recordings on some memory sticks of conversations that he surreptitiously taped with Jürgen Fenech. And what is contained in that ice cream box is such a world of political trouble that the first thing that happens is it's sent out of the country. At 3 a.m. that night, that ice cream box is on an aeroplane to The Hague, where it's handed over to Europol.
And then when we got the tapes from the investigation, the tapes of Melvin Thoma's conversations with Jürgen Fenech, we realized that Jürgen Fenech knew everything. He was getting a blow-by-blow account of everything that was happening in the investigation. One of the things that was hardest to deal with was when the men were arrested. There was this huge show made out of their arrest. It was very heavily mediatized. A dramatic video was released to the media, showing the army's involvement. And then, like a day later, we start hearing this, that they already knew about the arrest. So we think, what's going on? This all just looks like theater. If these guys got to find out about their arrest, imagine the person who actually masterminded the murder.
In July 2020, an ambulance is called to the safe house where Melvin is living. What the paramedics find is that he's cut his throat, he stabbed himself in the stomach and slit his wrists.
I'd never heard of anyone slitting their throat and surviving, so I was prepared for him to be pronounced dead within the hour.
The news was really devastating for Daphne's family because so much of the case really hinges on Melvin's testimony.
It was just like being hit by a truck. And then we started to hear that he was recovering, and obviously it was a huge relief.
Daphne's always been a really divisive figure in Malta. It's quite a tribal place. You know, you're either with the Nationalist Party or with the Labour Party. She was with the Nationalist Party. But actually her death has united people across those two camps because it has raised concerns amongst a lot of kind of decent thinking people about the institutions of their country and whether the rule of law is being upheld. And in that sense, that tragedy is changing the country. It's not done yet, but huge progress has been made.